Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a simple paper weaving. You will need some markers, which is optional, a glue stick, scissors, strips of paper, I like 1 inch thick, and a piece of paper. Doesn't have to be white, but I'm going to use white. Step 1 is to draw doodles all over the paper. You don't want to draw a picture because you're going to be cutting it and you won't be able to see the whole picture. But you can make a lot of doodly lines. It'll make a nice touch when you're all done. After you have finished doodling on your paper, fold your paper in half so that the two short ends meet. And then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut from the folded side to the other end. You want to cut about 1 inch away from the edge and 1 inch away from finishing the cut off the end of the paper. You can do straight or wiggly lines. I do not recommend making zigzag lines. Make sure each area is about 1 inch away from the previous cut. If you make it too thin, like I'm going to make this next one, you're going to make your weaving harder for yourself and more work. So make these pretty wide. But the most important part is to not cut off the end of the paper. You want to leave that inch from the very edge. So I ended up cutting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cuts across my paper. That's about the right number. If you get 7 or 5, that'll work too. Now it's time to start weaving. Grab those 1-inch strips of paper. Choose whichever color you want to start with. I'm going to do a rainbow, so I'm going to start with red and start doing an under, over pattern. So my first paper is going under that paper, over the next one, under this paper, over the next one, under this paper, and then over the last one. Over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Perfect. Then I can scoot it down to the edge, get it as far down as I can, make it nice and straight, and then use your glue stick to glue down the ends. I like to just lift those up and put a little bit of glue on both sides. If I don't glue it down, there's a very good chance it would just fall out. So I definitely want to use the glue. Okay, now get your next sheet of paper and do the opposite from the red paper. So I'm going under the first one, over the second one, under the third, over the fourth, under the fifth, over the sixth, and under the seventh. Scoot it down, bring it nice and close. And I notice the orange is showing up in different areas from the red. And it looks kind of like a checkerboard. That's pretty cool. Now I'm going to flip it over and glue the ends on, just like I did with the red one, but this time it's on the back, so I need to flip it over to do that. Now it's time for my third color. It's going to go under and over the same ones as the red, but the opposite ones from the orange. So I'm starting over and then under, over, under, over, under, over. I got it through. I'm going to scoot it down and glue the ends. I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way across my paper until I have filled up the whole paper. Lucky for me, it pretty much perfectly fit the rainbow. I did have to use the color pink though. Now, I think putting in the last piece can be the hardest because the cuts are smaller than they are with the other ones, which makes it a harder space to fit the paper. And sometimes it's not even big enough. So you might have to go in with your scissors and make it a little bit longer, making sure not to cut off to the edge, but giving yourself enough room to fit your last piece of paper in. Okay, I'm starting over and then I go under the second area, fitting it through that hole there. See, it's kind of hard. And then over, and then fit that under there. Scoot it along, bringing it over the next one, and then under again. And it should end with over. Flipping it over to make it easier for me to shove that in there. There we go. Now I can add glue to the ends and finish this project. And there we go, all done. When I was flipping it over to put that last paper in, I realized I really liked the way that it looked without the doodles on it. So if that's what you prefer, you don't have to do the doodling.